Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Yeah, we must have a happy ending to talk about tonight, David.
What an unexpected. I guess I saw I didn't actually see the Hockey Night in Canada panel between the periods there after the first period, and they were saying that they thought the Oilers could come back. And, I always have that hope myself because we've seen that. But honestly, did I think they were going to come back in this? I did not, because I just thought, the Kings are so good defensively, and Korpisalo is such a good goalie that they're not gonna come back. But of course they did. 5-4 overtime win, Bruce. I think one of the greatest comebacks in Oilers playoff history.
Yep.
If this team does anything in the playoffs, this game is going to be remembered for a long time. That was a huge moment, obviously, and we're going to get into it. Bruce, any starting thoughts or initial thoughts? Or
I can only think of two other ever playoff games where the Oilers were down by 3 and came back to win. Both times it was 3-0. First time was against Winnipeg Jets in '88 in Winnipeg Arena when they came back. They came back from 3-0 down in Game 3 to tie it, but then they wound up losing it. And then Game 4 they fell behind 3-0 again. And this time they came all the way back and won it 5-3. And that gave them a 3-1 lead in that series, and they wrapped it up in home. More memorably by far was the comeback against Dallas Stars in 1997, where they were down 3-0 with like 4 minutes to go in the third period. And all of a sudden, Doug Waite scored, and then the comeback was on. They got 3 goals in the last 4 minutes, which was then the NHL record for latest 3-goal comeback. And then Kelly Buchberger, of all people, scored the winner in overtime on an outside shot through Mike Greer's screen that gave the Oilers the 4-3 win. Of course, they went on to win that series in 7 games. So that was absolutely huge. They won 3 overtime games in that series, including games 3, 5, and 7. And so that was very memorable. And I don't think since, it's not like they played that many playoff games since, to be honest. Or certainly not like they won that many, because for a few years Dallas was taking them out, and they were never coming back from 3-goal deficits against Dallas. And 2006 they came from 2 down against San Jose in a big game. And anyway, I think this is the third time. We'll see. Somebody will. I don't know who the new Elias Sports Bureau is. You don't hear them mentioned anymore, but it's one of those ones where somebody comes up with these random stats. First time somebody's done this since, and it's, and so probably tomorrow it'll trickle out. Stauffer will probably have it on his show because he loves that kind of stuff, as do I. But I'm going to go with third time. And if there's a fourth, I'll be pleasantly surprised. But it's a rare thing. And they looked like dead in the water when they gave up 2 late goals in the first period. Like I was thinking, just get to the buzzer at 1-0. Well, we better get to the buzzer at 2-0. And then they took that penalty. And of course, the power play converted for LA, and the place was, the goal horn was blaring and the goal song was singing away, and the fans were having a great time, and the Oilers were looking pretty desolate. And then the siren finally did go, and then they kind of got it together for, second period. Third was a bit of a game of chase for part of it, and then they finally got the winger scoring, to tie it and win it. The guys we've been waiting for.
Indeed. So Bruce, let's get into this.
Yeah, okay.
And because it's a historic win,
Yep.
Could be a historic win. Of course, they could blow the series still, and then it's forgotten. But anyway, except for by you won't forget it. You just demonstrated. We're going to do 3 good things.
Mm-hmm.
one bad thing and one number. We're up from our
3
usual.
good things. Sweet.
We're up from our usual one good thing, and then we usually have 2 good things after a big Oilers win. Well, it's 3 good things tonight.
This is a huge win.
This is the huge win. Bruce, why don't you start it off?
Yeah, well, that was Norman Lacombe who scored the winner in that game in '88, by the way, in Winnipeg. Anyway,
Now you're just showing off.
I looked that game up just to make sure I was right about it, and sure enough, yeah. But I did not remember Norman Lacombe until I saw him on the summary tonight. I'm still sweating, David. Yeah, I'm going to go with all players tonight with my good and bad things. And player number 1, I'll tip the hat to Zach Hyman, who was named the game's first star. He was anything but the first star of this game. He had a real kind of ragged game. Let's be nice and call it a ragged game. But he did contribute one nice assist on a passing play on the 3-2 goal with McDavid and Draisaitl, the 5-on-5 goal, where he got it to McDavid behind the net, and McDavid fed Leon out front, and he buried it from close range. And then, of course, he came up with the absolute critical game winner, something he desperately needed. I think he's had a tough time throughout the series, and frankly, I'm wondering if he's 100% or even that close to it. Trouble handling the puck, Dave, along the boards and stuff, and that's usually a real strength of his. But in this case, he took the long pass along the boards, and he came into the zone, and he, what we called a grade B shot, but he got a really good shot away, like a hard shot, and he found a hole and kind of in the crook of the elbow of Joonas Korpisalo, and the B shot turned out to be the game winner, and hey, we'll take it. And good on you, Zach Hyman. You needed something to turn it around, and nothing like being an overtime hero to turn the table. So I will credit him for that overtime winner. Say it wasn't his greatest. What did you grade him in this game, David? Interested.
I gave him a 3-grade bump for the overtime goal, and he got him to 8. I got him to 8. Actually, it should have just been 7 maybe, because I might have given him a 4. But he did make a nice screen. I thought he did the moving screen on Bouchard's goal.
Mm-hmm.
And he as you mentioned, he made the pass on Draisaitl's goal. I think it's the second goal of the game for the Oilers. And he did take a terrible undisciplined penalty. I think you mentioned the breakaway that he helped cause. So you know what I loved about that goal, Bruce, and I don't want this to get inside Joonas Korpisalo's head. I don't want Joonas Korpisalo to dwell on this. I don't want Joonas Korpisalo to wake up in the middle of the night for the next, and then in the middle of the game have flashbacks to him being jittery and incompetent. But he was jittery and incompetent on that shot. I mean, if Jack Campbell had let in that shot, Bruce, people would be screaming. They would be screaming. Not in joy, in agony in Edmonton, and blaming. It would be another Jack Campbell bash-a-thon, even though he played well enough I gave him an 8. Like he played well enough for the Oilers to win, and he made some. We'll get into him in a second. But
barbecue Ken Holland for dessert.
Yeah, Korpisalo. It's the kind of thing though that could haunt a player, Bruce. I'm not saying it's going to haunt him, but if he listens to this podcast, you're going to be haunted, Joonas Korpisalo. You're not going to. He's going to pop up in your mind at the most
inopportune. Starting to look human, David. He's starting to look human. He hasn't been giving up soft ones, but starting to look a little vulnerable. And that one, I actually thought he wasn't positioned all that well, because I think he left a little bit too much room on the short side. It seemed like he was kind of in the middle of the net, and still the puck went under his stick side elbow. Yeah. What's that?
Kane's goal too, and I'll just segue right now into Kane's goal. Kane's my good thing, my first good thing, my first of 3, and his shot too. It was closer in. It was closer in. It was I think it was it post in? It was close to that. It was a hell of a shot. It was a really hard shot. And even though Evander Kane, like for most of that game, Bruce, he looked to me like he was laboring, like he's having a hard time getting around the ice. I mean, we heard that he missed the morning skate, so we know that he is injured. And he just looked injured until about 10 minutes left in the game. And then he looked like Evander Kane of old. I mean, he looked like a beast. He just was casting, throwing players around. I mean, in overtime when Matt Roy went to hit him, boy, did he ever deserve what he got there with Kane just totally throwing off that hit and ragdolling him into the boards head first, which wasn't a penalty because Roy initiated it. He charged at the guy and he was gonna try to hammer Evander Kane into the boards. So, but he, that was just even though he's having a little trouble skating, he's sure not having trouble shooting it, at least not on that play, because he absolutely just picked that spot.
That was a great shot.
He had a great chance earlier in the game when Draisaitl, who probably should have shot on that play, had a wide open look in front of the net and put it off to Kane, and Kane couldn't get the puck high on Korpisalo. He tried to, I think, and I think he muffed the shot. It's not the shot that he wanted. He immediately followed up the game tying goal with he won a battle in the corner, put it to McDavid to Ekholm. Kane went right to the net, just like a professional ace goal scoring winger will do, and took a pass and he had 2 grade A shots, one of them in the 5 alarm category.
Right.
And he almost ended it there. So that tying goal, I mean, what a goal. I was behind in the game because I was doing game grades and doing the scoring chances, and I'm just right. I'm lagging about 5 minutes, but I check forward to see how it's going because I can't resist. And then I saw I saw that they had scored.
Right.
They had tied it up somehow, and I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that they looked like they were out of gas, Bruce.
Yeah.
In the third period after that amazing comeback, they looked like they were done, and then Evander Kane did what he did. So what a fantastic goal that was for him.
Yeah, well, shots on net were 11-1 for LA at one point in the third period, and I think they said that just before the breakaway by Arvidsson, where he got 2 shots, or they got 2 shots, and so I think it was even 13-1. This after Edmonton outshot them 20-8 in the middle frame, and third period wound up 17-7. Edmonton did come on late, but the Kane goal, it was 4-3, and the clock was ticking down. It seemed more likely to go to 5-3 than it was going to go to 4-4 because Edmonton wasn't generating a lot. And then that goal, 3 minutes left, was a bolt from the blue, and game on. So,
Bruce, what is your second good thing?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Evan Bouchard, who had a terrific game tonight for the most part. I mean, his boxcars, David, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points, +3. Bouchard. He did make a couple of defensive lapses, one in particular that led to a 4 or 5 shot barrage in the second period. That was when LA got like 5 of their 8 shots on that one play from right in front. Who was it kept pounding the rebounds? Was it Arvidsson or was it Danault? No, it was Danault. Arvidsson made the first shot and Danault had all the rebounds. But that was a rare downturn for him. And this was a game where he played 28 minutes and 25 seconds, most on the team, including 24-11 at even strength, also most on the team. And he was, I thought, in very fine form for the most part. Lots of good passes. Absolutely great shot to get Edmonton back in the game 3-1 on a blast through traffic. That was Hyman's screen. Was Nuge, I think, also screening, and it was also was McDavid and Draisaitl and Bouchard in the triangle, and Bouchard at the top of the triangle, and he just hammered it. And again, I think it dinged in off the post. And
it just changes the Oilers' power play, Bruce. I just want to interject quickly. Like we've talked about this, they're packing it in, right? They don't want to see that. They don't want to see the cross seam pass to Draisaitl.
Right.
And what are you going to do? If they pack it in like that, you've got to put it to the point, and you have this player who can do that. It changes things.
Yeah. So he had 8 shot attempts, 4 which were on net. Blocked 3 shots himself, but. I'm going to reserve special praise for the pass he gave to Hyman on the game winner, where basically he broke the trap with one long pass off the wall where, the LA guys, they kind of cut into the middle of the ice, and Bush took the outside with a long bank pass that caught Hyman in full flight coming in towards the blue line. And that had to be like a 120-foot pass because he was like behind his own net, I think. And when he sifted it up there and off the wall onto Hyman's stick, and he breaks in on that left side, and that leads to the goal. Beautiful pass. I mean, you don't necessarily expect a goal on a shot from there, but the reason the puck got there was because Bush made that long feed. So I thought he had a pretty strong game in most areas. And then in overtime, he drew a penalty and didn't die when he got basically blasted from behind head first into the boards by Adrian Kempe. Really dirty hit. And
Should have
they
been
had
5.
to call that one. I think in a different situation, it would be 5. In overtime, a 2-minute penalty is a long time. And unfortunately, that was one time where the Oilers power play just couldn't get it. I mean, McDavid had a great chance, and that damn Deneau was able to deflect it over the net. That guy's everywhere. And I think McDavid might have buried that if without that defensive play. But he drew that penalty, and then he got up. They sent him to the bench because he was leaking, and then he came out early in the power play, and then, as I say, later made the big pass on the game winner, and they scored. Yeah, it was just Hyman from Bouchard. It was the only goal of the game that didn't have a third point. So big credit to the young lad. He's come a long way. They said since the trade of Barry, he's played 24 games and he had 24 points, and now he's up to 25, if not 26, because I can't remember when. They said it after one of his earlier points in the game. And then he got at least one more after that. And I mean, point a game defenseman, that's golden. And over a sample size of 24 games, we're not talking about 6 points in 6 games like Adam Larson had one time this year. I mean, that's a long, sustained, productive defenseman. And he's getting a bunch of his points on power play, but not all of them by any means. So good on you, Evan Bouchard. This was a kind of a coming out party for you tonight in the playoffs. I think he was Edmonton's best defenseman in this game, to me.
Yeah,
Brett Kulak, I liked his game, and I would have him on the short list, but he didn't play as much, and didn't make as much happen. But I liked his overall game. But Bush was the big minutes guy and the big points guy, and he got the job done. So. He won't hurt his contract negotiations with games like that.
He won't anyway. Let's worry about that another day. He is still playing in the rocking chair. He is the same defensive player.
I love it.
I do too,
Mostly
Bruce.
it's good. I mean,
mostly it's
recognize when it's time to hustle, and he's starting to do that.
Yeah, but it's really, he is very calm out there, unlike some of the other Oilers defensemen, which we're going to get into. We're playing like raw rookies. He is just playing a really settled, smart game, and huge. Okay, Bruce, my second good thing is going to be Leon Draisaitl. He's been the best Oiler by far, I think, in this series against the Kings. Mm-hmm. He really is willing his team to victory. And what we saw tonight, I don't know, I think, in Germany, their bomber is Gerd Müller, the great goal scorer of the 1970s. They might have to change that in Germany, Bruce, because this guy, he picked apart Korpisalo. And he really did. It was Korpisalo, after Draisaitl was done with him. It was the same essential play. He takes 2 slot passes and slams them both home. Just with such incredible dead-eye accuracy. And it's almost like, oh yeah, he scored. Like, he did it again. Like, it's almost like we don't even remark on it. It's just I expect it at this point when he gets that shot, he's going to put it in like that, and he does repeatedly. He's just constantly hammering in those kinds of shots. I noticed, I think both in overtime, early in the game, Byfield had a really good chance to cash in on a rebound. And I think Draisaitl clipped him with his skate and maybe and threw him off just enough that Byfield couldn't put it in. So there was a couple of solid defensive plays from him. There was another in overtime where he made a solid stop in the defensive slot. Not Leon's home, but when called upon, he's as staunch a defender when he wants to be as anyone in the NHL, and he did that. He was just making plays all over the ice, Bruce. He's such a fantastic hockey player. I think this is the best we've ever seen Leon play. If I'm completely honest, I don't know it worked having Leon and Connor together, I guess. I don't know. The Kings have 3 good lines, and so I'm a little worried about. Yeah, they do now, right? So I'm a little worried about the other lines getting. I think the Oilers have 2 good lines with obviously the Draisaitl and McDavid line, and whatever line Ryan and Fogle and Bukestad are on. Yeah. That those are 3 players who are performing well. So but in between that, those other guys, the $5 million men, have not. They obviously scored some huge goals tonight, but overall at even strength, the $5 million men, Nuge, Hyman, and Kane, have been struggling this series, and I'm a little worried about that matchup. So, but Draisaitl with McDavid it's something special. We saw it again tonight. It paid off in a victory, so I'll celebrate that.
Yeah, that second period comeback. I mean, Leon got a primary assist on the first goal, scored the second one, scored the third one with like 10 seconds left in the period to complete that comeback. That was a nice one to get, especially after the Oilers have been guilty of giving up last-minute goals throughout the series. One in each of the first 3 games, that was a huge goal. They gave up the tying goal in the last minute of the third period in Game 1, a tying goal in the last minute of the second period in Game 2, and a go-ahead goal in the last minute of the first period in Game 3. And each one of them was a game changer at the time it was scored. And then this tying goal for the Oilers in the last minute of second period, turnaround's fair play. So he was a huge part of that comeback bid.
What is your third good thing?
Yeah, I'm going to tip the hat to Jack Campbell. He came in and we were having a back and forth at the end of the first period. In fact, even before that, I said to my wife when they scored with like 1:40 to go in the first, and I said they're not going to pull Skinner now, but it won't surprise me in the least. And I think they should do this: bring Campbell in to start the second period, because Skinner wasn't making the saves and the boys weren't exactly responding. When they gave up 2 in a row on pretty bad plays. And so it was time for a change. And Campbell came in, and he hasn't played, 3 weeks now? 2.5 weeks anyway. Yeah. He played game in San Jose, maybe around game number 80. So I guess at least 2 weeks ago. And Skinner finished out the season in the first 3 games. The series started this one. But when they needed him, Campbell, I thought he was good. And, I don't like his form. I don't like his technique, to be honest. But he was making the saves. He was fighting the puck, but he was making the saves. And he made 27 saves on 28 shots, .964 save percentage. And some of them were pretty big stops. Like when it was 4-3 down and they coughed up the puck on the sidewall there, and Arvidsson walked in alone and tried to deke him, and he got his leg over to the post. And then somebody came in and tried to shove the puck under his pad more. And I think he did shove it under his front pad, but his back pad had the ice covered, and that made the save on the second one. I mean, those were enormous saves. And there was only like 6 minutes left in the game or something. If they score there, it is over.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't over because Campbell made that big stop, and he made a few others.
Yeah, Doughty had a good shot in the Flagan.
Yes.
Doughty moved into the slot and ripped a dangerous shot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, he was fighting it. Like his first shot was a 2-on-1 shot from Arvidsson, and he stopped it. But then he just was battling around the puck, and it's like he just can't make a clean save, and just stop it. He did seem to get more confident as the game went on, and
Yes,
thankfully, Bruce, there was no grade A shots against him in the third period. Not that he wouldn't have stopped it, but I don't know if my nerves could have taken it.
in the overtime.
In the overtime.
Yeah.
So yeah, like he didn't get tested with a grade A shot then. So yeah, good for him. I guess. What do you think? Do you think they should start him next game?
Well, that's now going to be the $1 million question, isn't it? They already asked Woody after the game, and he said, "I need 15 minutes to enjoy this game before I start thinking about the next one." But he basically intimated it was a pretty titanic decision that he's facing. Because I mean, we're going into Game 5 at home, series tied 2-2. And the Oilers, they have this little tiny sliver of control in that they have home ice advantage in this best of 3 that remains. But that only works when you don't lose the first of those games like they did last year when they lost Game 5 at home, and then they had to come back and win the last 2. Ideally, you go home and you win Game 5. Ideally, you go home and you win Game 5 in decisive fashion. I mean, that would be nice. But nothing seems to be coming easy just now.
No, it's not going to be easy against these Kings. Like, they're a good team.
Yeah, my temptation would be to stick with Campbell, but I'm like, I'm not. I haven't got the keys, right? It's coach's decision. I'll be interested to see which way they go with it and how they justify it, and then of course to see what actually happens afterwards. But Skinner hasn't had, I would say, a great game in the series. And
I don't trust Campbell.
He was fighting it tonight.
Yeah,
and I mean the Arvidsson goal that went right through him. That wasn't good.
I guess I would probably go with Skinner, but if they go with Campbell, that's fine too. Like there's no great choice. Let's be honest. There's no great choice at this point,
right? Based
on Campbell's history, and Skinner he's been just okay in the playoffs, and he hasn't been great. So yeah, he certainly wasn't great tonight. My third good thing, Bruce, is Connor McDavid. McDavid, 3 assists, and he played generally solid defense. Although he was part of the melees at the start of the game. There was one play there was a couple plays that typified the Oilers. They weren't getting the puck in deep. They weren't taking the body. And there was one play where Kempe is rushing through the neutral zone, and McDavid, instead of going for the check, hitting Kempe, he goes for the stick check, and Kempe goes in, and they get a 5-alarm shot off that play, because McDavid and other players made mistakes later on in the sequence, but McDavid could have stopped it in the neutral zone, but they just go for the puck. They go for the puck, and it's what they do, and it causes grade A shots and 5-alarm shots against. By the way, the grade A shots were 19-17 for the LA Kings this game, with the subset of 5-alarm shots, 7-6 for the Oilers. So very close.
Everything was close. All
very,
metrics
very
were
close. But then McDavid, for the first time really at even strength, just exploded in this game. He just got better and better and better, I thought, as the game went along. But even early on, he did a wraparound, and Costin got a good shot early in the game. He set up Draisaitl for a dangerous shot early in the game. Then in the second period, it's just a huge play where he charges over as fast as he can and gets on Drew Doughty. And, for those of us paranoid that the Oilers never get a call in LA, well, the Oilers, I think, got that call. Doughty took a fall on the play. I don't actually think McDavid hooked him, but it was close. And you could see with other referees, whoever refereed this game did a good job. And with other referees, that could have been a penalty on McDavid. Anyway, Doughty falls down. It goes to Hyman. Hyman back to McDavid, who quickly puts it out to Draisaitl, who hammers in the puck. It was just a fantastic hustle and skill play from Connor McDavid.
Careful, David. You just said referees Chris Lee and Steve Kozari.
They did a good job. They did.
The Ministry of Truth will be having an interview with you tomorrow morning, David.
I don't know.
They actually were good. I'm surprised and impressed. They did not take this game off the rails. And meanwhile, the two schlubs who ruined Game 3 ruined Game 4 in the Minnesota uh, Dallas series tonight with some bizarre calls again that would have had Minnesota fans and Nick Foligno in particular in a state of dismay. Nick or Marcus, one of them. Anyway, uh, he got two very strange penalties, and two goals were scored while I was in the penalty box in what became a 1-goal loss for Minnesota. So you can bet that there's going to be more feedback about those guys. Rank was one of them. And anyway, they got.
So we next get back to McDavid. We next see McDavid. Yes. Sorry. We next. That's okay. We next see McDavid. He sends in the third period. He sends Hyman. I think it's in the third, but maybe it's in the second. He sends in Hyman with a really clever pass for a nice break-in shot. When Hyman goes to his backhand and he fails to score. But he keeps going. He charges into the LA zone. He makes a nice pass to Kane, and then Kane scores the tying goal. There was just huge plays from Connor McDavid in this game. He really revved it up, and he found a way to be successful against the Kings here. And I expect that to continue. I mean, I thought that we would see this right from the start. To give them credit, the Kings really are a highly disciplined defensive team and a pretty impressive defensive team. And yes. It's not easy for any of these attackers. I mean, Leon's having such great success in large part because of his immense skill shooting the puck. He's big, and he's more able to battle through things. He's bigger than most of the forwards out there. Bruce, let's move on to our
one point about McDavid. He played 30 minutes and 22 seconds tonight. 30 minutes out of a 70-minute game. And in that part of the game that he was on the ice tonight, which includes the power play, Edmonton won that part of the game 5-0. And when he was on the bench for 40 minutes, they lost that part of the game 4-0. So he was big. He was big.
Yeah, team high. His time on ice was a team high. Bruce, what's your bad thing?
Well, again, I'm going to go with a single player, and I hate to do this because he's one of my favorites, but boy, did Vincent Desharnais have a very, very rough first period tonight and very early part of the second. So rough that he basically rode the pine for the whole rest of the game as Philip Broberg, the number 7 defenseman, took his spot and played almost 10 minutes. Vince played 7 minutes and 16 seconds, and he was a primary culprit on 3 different goals against, all 3 that LA scored in the first period, and he just couldn't make a stop. He was beaten on the first goal, I believe, by a pass that wound up sort of exposing Nurse in front of the net. On the second goal, he just flat out got beat up the wall by Victor Arvidsson. He was in good position, except he tried to play the puck instead of playing the body, which is his real strength. And Arvidsson scooted around him, broke in, and sank one through the 5-hole. And then on the power play goal late in the first, he and Nurse were out there, and the puck kind of came into the slot, and it bounced over Nurse's stick, and it bounced over Desharnais' stick, and both guys tried to recover and couldn't, and it was just, they just couldn't get a hold of the damn puck to clear it. And it was just, so there was no control there. We had him involved on another grade A shot as well that I think was a 5-alarm, where the puck didn't go in the net, but, 4 errors on 5-alarm shots in 7 minutes of ice time is pretty dreadful. And now there's been 4 goals scored in this series, David, through 4 games, where Desharnais had, a real bad play that was part of the problem.
Yeah.
And he's been exposed a little bit in this series, and I don't know what he's doing different, or maybe the Kings are just that level better. But that was first period was his toughest in the NHL, right? Which, I mean, we've seen all of his shifts because they've all been this season. But
he's a bit tentative with the puck, and we can say that with certainty. Defensively, he's like the play, the was a that you're mentioning. I think like the other grade A shot it was Velarde coming in. I think if I'm or
Mhm.
no, that was the Arvidsson play where he didn't take the man on the
This was
boards.
where McLeod turned over the puck right beside the net. The
Okay,
guy came and stole it off him, and
yeah.
then they took it to the front of the net, and Vincent couldn't make the defensive play there either. So
Maybe we'll see Philip Broberg. Philip Broberg looked calm, and when they needed a goal, he's a better bet to play anyway. He's a better offensive player than Desharnais. So maybe they'll just alternate the sixth and they'll change up who the 6 and 7 D man are, and use Desharnais on the PK, where I still think
mhm.
he's useful. Bruce, at least he has the excuse of being a rookie. Darnell
Yes,
Nurse does not have
no, he does
this
not.
mistake. This was an immensely disappointing performance from Darnell Nurse, and he's I guess we could put it under the if you want to be kind to him, it's under the heading of he's trying to do too much out there. I think that's probably fair to say, but he was running around like a raw rookie, and
Hmm.
he would have been benched if he had been a rookie in this game.
Yeah.
That was the level of his performance. He was a mess on the ice tonight, and it was his worst game of the year. And it starts out there's early in the game, there was all these signals the Oilers weren't ready to execute on whatever game plan they had. He rushes up the ice. It was a 2-on-2, and he tries to take his man instead of dumping it in, putting behind the guy. And instead of getting the forecheck going, the dump and thump, he turns over the puck. So that's how it starts. Um, 9 minutes in on a rebound, he goes for the puck, not for Velarde, who's creeping into the play, and Velarde slams it home. So this is when Desharnais allows in that, I guess, shot, and Skinner kicks it out. All Nurse has to be doing is turn around, watch the player coming in, take the man, freeze him out of the goalie, don't let him come into the goalie, watch for the danger man. He is a veteran player. He knows the danger is the people coming into the play, the people that he's not seeing, but he knows they're coming. Why doesn't he just identify that player and take him out before he can shoot? And he fails to do it. On the shorthanded goal, he gets out battled twice. I mean, this will happen to players, right? He gets out battled on the clearance, then he gets out battled again in front of the net. So 2 lost battles, but he is Darnell Nurse. He's the guy that you're thinking you shouldn't get out battled.
Hmm.
You're the big number one D man on this team. You got to win your battles. You got to be in position, maybe a little better position to win them. Be just sharp enough. The play that I liked the least, though, Bruce, was the fourth goal from LA, where they're rushing the puck up the ice, and Leon Draisaitl gets wiped out in a hit. But it's still a nothing play at that point, pretty much. And what does Nurse do? He completely takes himself out of the play by going to hit the player
Yeah.
at the center red line that has just hit Leon Draisaitl, and
Trevor Moore.
he gets knocked discombobulated himself, and he's wobbly, like he can't get quickly back into the play, and it ends up as a 2-on-1, 3-on-1 at that point. They pass
Supposed to
the
be a
puck around
breakaway at the
Philip
end of
Broberg.
it.
Yeah, at the end of it, they pass it's a really tough play for Broberg to make, and
Hmm.
Nugent Hopkins, I think he misreads it. He goes to the puck carrier instead of trying to
Yeah.
catch up to the danger man again. This is the Oilers are having a hard time identifying. They're such a
Matt
bunch of
Roy.
they can get in the habit of puck watching all of these really skilled players, and Nuge did on that play. I thought instead of noticing that Matt Roy was streaking in there, he went to the guy with the puck. Anyway, Nurse's play on that, Bruce, was why did he do that? Why is
Hmm.
he doing that? What is that all about? And it was he's the prime culprit as I see it on 3 goals against. And that is not the Oilers will not win the cup unless he simmers the F down, starts
Hmm.
playing a simple game. Oh,
We've seen it lots down the stretch of the season,
he did.
and at times in the series. But I agree that he's just trying to be this sort of not just proactive but hyperactive uh, player. I mean, there was one scoring chance that came where the puck went to the sidewall to Kane in the Oilers' defensive zone, and it was like a 50-50 puck. And Nurse just tears out of the zone like he's just expecting we're going to go for him on the counterattack. And of course, Kane can't make the play. And the next thing you know, you got another play on net where you haven't got a defenseman.
And they could have scored easily.
Yeah,
That was a really
easily,
dangerous chance.
Yeah,
And that would have been on him because he's tearing up the ice. What does he do? Like, show if you want to, that's the key play actually. If you want to have a video session with Darnell Nurse, don't show him the other plays. He knows he screwed up on the goals. Show him that play and say, what were you thinking? Like, I know they were down in the game, but it doesn't help to be down another goal. That was we ripped into him last game in the overtime play. Well, he actually built on that kind of erratic play of overreaction, of trying to do too much. He's got to start just covering his basic responsibilities defensively first and foremost, and then the other parts of the game will come to him. You know, they will happen. He's forcing things, and it's killing his team right now. He's got to stop doing it.
Yeah. Well, I have two thoughts on Nurse. One is play your position.
Yeah.
And you can insert an adjective in there if you care to. Second one is your position is not rover. The rover position was abandoned a century ago in 1923. Play D. You're a D man. Play D. Be solid at the back. See your chances, and get involved in the attack, but don't try and always be the initiator of stuff. Take the chances when they're there. Be reliable the rest of the time. What he wasn't tonight was reliable at all.
And
that hurt the team.
I gave him a 2, which was being charitable. Like he was okay in overtime.
He was better later in the game.
Yeah, he came on a bit later, so I had a 1 tentatively marked down. Like DeHarnay got a 1.
Did he?
And
I guess he had nothing good on the resume.
No, just all really bad. So I mean, but Nurse came close to getting a 1 in that game, and he's got to snap out of it. And he just watch the way Ekholm's playing. We're not talking a lot about Ekholm, but he is playing very, very well, and but a quiet game, just quietly getting the job done. Nurse, watch video of your buddy there, Ekholm, and see what he's doing. Bruce, I'm down to 6% of power on my computer, so we're gonna have to be fast on our numbers. What is your number?
Yeah, my number is 14. 14 is the number of goals scored by the Edmonton Oilers in 4 playoff games, 3, 4, 2, and 5. And it's also the number of goals for that Leon Draisaitl has been on the ice when the Oilers have scored him. They've scored 14 goals, and Leon's been on the ice for all of them. All of them.
What a great stat.
14 out of 14. There's nobody else in the NHL that's been on the ice for more than 10. And here it's, obviously some of these are power play goals. 6 of them are power play goals, sure. But he's been on for 14, 4 against. And the score of the series is 14-13 for Edmonton. And, oh, by the way, he leads the NHL with 9 points.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's an incredible number. Bruce, I have an equally incredible one. The Oilers were 2 for 3 on their power play tonight. Overall, they are 5 for 11, 55%.
6 for 11.
6 for 11, excuse me.
Yeah.
6 for 11 in the playoffs. They're 55%. The next, it's a small sample size, and Dallas is
very
at 40,
small in this series.
Yeah, Dallas is at 44%. Dallas is at 44, and then the next best teams are at 31%. Toronto, Winnipeg at 30. So this is this power play, which has been giving all year long, continues to give. And people have said, well, you can't win in the playoffs on your power play, but we have seen teams win Stanley Cups in large part, or a big part of it has been their power play. The New York Islanders of the 80s come to mind. That power play, which I consider, other than this power play, to be the best in NHL history, it really crushed the Oilers in series and crushed other teams. It was so deadly.
Yeah.
And it helped. It was a key thing in them winning the Stanley Cup. And it looks like this power play for the Oilers is just, it's just keeping going and going and going. And it's as dangerous as ever. And 55%, 6 for 11.
I was pretty crushed when they didn't. They were up to 60%, and then they got a chance in overtime when Bouchard got thugged. And I thought, here it is. But they really didn't get. They got that one chance by McDavid that Dano tipped, and it was just not like they had good possession, but they just couldn't quite set up the shot. But
they were close.
And then I thought, this isn't good, but then they scored really not all that long after. Just really a minute later after Kempe came out of the box was when they wrapped it up.
Indeed. Well, Bruce, Tuesday night in Edmonton. This is a nervy series. Teams that succeed in the playoffs, they win series like this. You got to win series like this. And when the Oilers won Stanley Cups, they had some tough series that were really close. And so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, in '83, when they cruised to the Stanley Cup Finals, they hadn't met any adversity, and then they ran into the Islanders, and it was like they ran into a brick wall. In '84, Calgary pushed them to the limit 7 games in the Smythe Division Finals. And when Edmonton won that game with a huge last 30 minutes, they actually trailed halfway through the game, and they just took it over. And after that game, I was confident. Like, if they can come through with that kind of a performance under that kind of pressure, we're a little bit more now steel tested and ready to roll, and the bigger games to come. And in fact, they were. Yeah.
All righty. Well, Bruce, thanks for talking tonight.
You got any percent left, David?
4%.
Okay, well, I guess that's probably enough for us to say thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.
Never in doubt.